Welcome back. Today we're jumping straight into a fascinating, completely unfiltered explainer on a trap I think we've all fallen into at least once. You know that intense cognitive dissonance, the gap between those glossy, flawless social media posts of travel spots and the raw, unedited reality once your boots actually hit the ground? Yeah, that. We're zeroing in on Da Nang, Vietnam. It's constantly hyped online as the ultimate pristine holiday paradise. But what really happens when you stay way past that initial honeymoon phase? Well, let's find out.
4 months. That is exactly how long the author of our source material spent actually living in Da Nang. And honestly, it's exactly how long it took for their picture-perfect, sun-drenched image of an exotic haven to just utterly shatter. I mean, going somewhere for a 1-week vacation is one thing, right? But living there for a third of a year? That literally rips the vacation goggles right off your face and gives you a completely different, unfiltered perspective.
Section 1. The myth of the internet paradise and how social media sells the illusion. Okay, let's dive right into this. The internet feeds us a very, very specific image. We're talking pristine, palm-fringed beaches, unbelievably cheap food, smiling locals, and digital nomads just casually typing away on their laptops by a sparkling ocean. It looks flawless, but the reality the author actually collided with upon moving there? Totally different story. We're talking overwhelming chaos, constant noise, and a severe lack of basic infrastructure. That initial magnetic allure of exotic vibes and cheap living, it gets heavily, heavily overshadowed by the harsh day-to-day reality the longer you stay.
Section 2. Street chaos. The physical reality.
You see, this isn't just your standard bustling city. It's an environment that physically challenges you every single day. We're talking about thousands of scooters swarming the streets like a hive of angry bees. The relentless, non-stop blaring of horns coming at you from every possible direction, and this thick, inescapable haze of exhaust fumes hanging in the air. But you know what the author found to be the most jarring thing, especially coming from a Western background? The blocked sidewalks. They're basically non-existent because they're completely taken over by parked scooters or street food stalls. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means you literally have to walk out on the busy street, dangerously weaving between moving cars and motorbikes just to get your morning coffee.
Section 3. The dirt and smell of the city. Moving beyond that tourist aesthetic.
Now, what's really wild is how incredibly fast that paradise illusion fades. It's literally just a short walk away. Step 1, you're at these beautiful, modern hotels situated right on the beach. Everything is pristine, curated, perfect. But then, step 2, you walk just a few streets inland, you leave that protective tourist bubble. And by step 3, bam, you're hit with a profoundly different sensory reality. The author described this massive shock when it came to cleanliness. Trash lying openly in the streets, choked up canals, debris just piled up behind buildings, and then there's the smell. Oh man, the smell. It's this potent mix of open sewage and intense humidity. Actually, especially after a heavy rain or on a blisteringly hot day, it is a severe reality check.
Which brings up a great point. Why don't we ever see this online? Well, it's pretty simple. It is way easier to show off a $3 smoothie bowl than a dirty street. Think about it. Social media is an aesthetic-driven machine, right? A perfectly styled, brightly colored, cheap smoothie bowl with a gorgeous ocean backdrop, that's going to generate clicks, likes, the whole shebang. But unfiltered city grime, trash in a canal, the smell of damp alleys, yeah, that doesn't sell the dream, so it stays hidden. The internet actively rewards the picturesque while totally burying the profound everyday reality of life in a developing country.
Section 4. Poverty and luxury. The development reality. The absolutely crucial point to grasp here is this intense, almost jarring contrast. Now, Vietnam is undeniably developing at a breakneck pace. You can literally see new investments and a booming tourism industry everywhere you look. But the visual disparities, they are incredibly stark. On one hand, you have these gleaming, ultra-luxury modern hotels and massive new apartment complexes. But literally right next door, standing shoulder to shoulder with all that new wealth, are old, ruined buildings. You have incredibly hardworking locals toiling from dawn to dusk, just trying to survive on very, very low pay. The author observed this profound contrast every single day. It's a constant visual reminder of the massive gap between the affluent, insulated tourist bubble and the everyday struggle of the locals. Actually, let's look at this direct quote from the author because it really hits the nail on the head. For a tourist on a weekly vacation, this might be invisible, but when you live there for a few months, you start to see real life.
This perfectly captures the whole tourist versus resident dichotomy. When you're just visiting for 7 days, you stay in the resort, eat at the high-end spots, and basically live inside the promotional brochure. You never peel back the curtain. But living there, that forces you behind the scenes. It gives you this exclusive, raw look into the true, unfiltered mechanics of the city.
Section 5. The bright sides. Let's look at the genuine positives.
Now, to be fair, we absolutely have to maintain a balanced view here. The author makes a very firm point to emphasize that it was not all bad, not even close. The bright spots are genuinely amazing. The local food? Absolutely fantastic. The Vietnamese coffee is legitimately world-class, for sure. And the local people, despite all the crazy chaos around them, are often incredibly helpful, peaceful, and so welcoming. Plus, if you can catch the beach early in the morning, right before the oppressive heat and the heavy crowds set in, it truly is breathtaking. So yes, there are massive, genuine positives that Da Nang has to offer.
So here's the real crux of this whole explainer. The problem isn't the city itself. The problem is the perfect paradise illusion. Da Nang isn't inherently a bad place at all. The massive disappointment the author felt didn't stem from Da Nang failing to be a real, functioning, developing Asian city. No, the disappointment came from the internet falsely advertising it as a flawless, easy, utopian paradise. Unrealistic expectations, expectations that are entirely fueled by travel vloggers and social media, that's what ultimately sets you up for a really harsh crash landing into reality.
Section 6. The final verdict. Lasting impressions. So what were the lingering feelings the author actually walked away with after wrapping up their 4-month experiment? Well, a pervasive feeling of chaos, a lingering sense of dirt, and most tellingly, fatigue. Living in a state of constant sensory overload, constantly dodging traffic on foot, dealing with the endless noise, processing the stark economic contrast day in and day out, it wears you down. A 1-week stay in a plush hotel, that rejuvenates you. But 4 months navigating the raw reality on the ground, that can leave you completely physically and mentally exhausted.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. Would the author ever return to Da Nang? Honestly, probably not. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. The author framed this purely as their subjective, unfiltered reality. They're not claiming this as some universal truth or saying no one should ever visit. Lots of people absolutely love Vietnam and have wildly different, deeply positive experiences there. But the author went looking for the Instagram fairy tale they were sold online, and instead they found a loud, complex, messy reality.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on. Is the Instagram fairy tale actually worth the truth? Think about it. When we travel, are we just looking for a curated, cheap backdrop for our photos? Or are we really prepared to embrace a place with all its actual flaws, chaos, and unfiltered reality? Think about your own travels for a second. Have you ever arrived somewhere only to find the social media hype got completely shattered by what was actually on the ground? It's definitely something to keep in mind the next time you double tap a pristine beach photo. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you guys next time.